Good evening and welcome to this special breaking news report broadcasting to our viewers at home and the entire diaspora across the globe. It is officially Monday, January 5th, 2026, and I am your host, Akosa Prempe, leading our coverage tonight. We are coming to you live from the United States of Africa News Desk, the premier platform dedicated to unfiltered truth, absolute sovereignty, and the unified voice of the people. Our top story tonight takes us to Burkina Faso, where a highly volatile and sensitive situation is currently unfolding. An explosive leaked audio tape has surfaced, sending shockwaves through the region as it purportedly captures a high-level conspiracy in real time. The recording exposes what appears to be a sophisticated plot, utilizing cryptic codes and tactical coordination aimed at destabilizing the nation's leadership. However, analysis of the conversation suggests a chaotic operation riddled with internal friction, deep paranoia and disarray among the conspirators. It also highlights their desperate attempts to evade intelligence agencies through a complex web of compartmentalized cells and clandestine communication. The release of this digital evidence has ignited a firestorm of controversy and debate from Ouagadougou to the rural provinces. Ordinary citizens are demanding answers regarding the integrity of national security and what this breach means for the future stability of the government. For us, observing this understanding these maneuvers is critical, not to spread panic, but to maintain situational awareness in defense of our continental peace. Before we analyze the tape, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Your engagement is the fuel that keeps this network running and helps connect our community globally. It solidifies our shared mission for total transparency, political awareness, and our right to self-determination. We never discuss the specifics. What is my actual assignment? Is this an Air Force operation? You told me nothing. Are you serious? No. I need concrete details. What exactly am I supposed to be doing on the ground? I already laid it all out for you. I was crystal clear in my explanation. No, you absolutely were not clear. Look, this is about the core issue with Sierra. It is a massive, complicated situation involving that asset. Fine, but practically speaking, how does this go down? Walk me through the mechanics of the event. I need the actionable steps. How do we execute this? We need a step-by-step breakdown right now. Exactly, she is asking for the operational roadmap. How do we pull this trigger? Hold on. I just want to focus on this immediate task right here. Let's stick to the present mission. I want an inventory. You promised you would circle back to me by this evening with the list. We are wasting too much time sitting on this. We are smack in the middle of the operational year. Who else could be in position right now? Anyone who knows Sierra. Sierra is in the loop. You are the one who knows Sierra. That is your contact. I have no access to Sierra. It is what it is. When you have the asset, you use it. All right, copy that. I understand. Let me be clear, when I mention Sierra, I mean the top dog. The person actually in charge there. The primary commander. Roger that. Understood. We were discussing Sierra and then everything went sideways. It turned into a total mess. Really, the issue is your lack of transparency. You are speaking in riddles and I am in the dark. You are categorizing things, but it makes zero sense. This is exactly what we were supposed to clarify today. You need to articulate the plan so we have total visibility on the objective. I need the mission parameters, the timeline, the personnel roster, the whole 9 yards. Do you read me? Well, you are familiar with Papa Solomon, correct? The father figure in the group. The king. Yeah, absolutely. The big boss. Yes, the king. You didn't meet with the king today, did you? No, that was yesterday's business. Because we actually went to see our friend Sierra. I was prepared to go. We realized we just needed to make the drop-off to the gentleman. Mission accomplished on the handover. Then the king authorized number 164. That represents the intermediary. I know him. He is like a brother to me. Right. He is the designated courier for the commission. Otherwise, we could have just brought him into the fold ourselves. So, you divided the assets. 1 share for you and 1 for the opposition. No, that was not the deal. I went ahead and authorized the transfer of the entire funding package directly to Operative 64. Wait, he doesn't have clearance for that. He's supposed to be the execution asset, not the financier. Seriously, we are in a bind now. What are the remediation protocols? I'm flying blind here, with the entire Oversight Commission dissolved. Are you seriously suggesting that I personally step in and handle this cleanup operation? Fine, understood. The root of the problem was a lack of transparency in your initial briefing, but we can expedite the process from this point forward. You explicitly stated on the record that you had a secure dossier ready. You assured me the case file was in hand. Right, that concerns the leak involving my partner and that contact Zara who paid me a visit. There is significant chatter regarding my involvement. Sir, look at the intel yourself. If the encryption protocols on that end are not crystal clear, I simply cannot decipher the strategic objectives. Regarding the designated security zones, specifically the high-priority media blackout sectors, it is unequivocally mandatory to maintain silence. We must neutralize any variables that could trigger a catastrophic intelligence breach or compromise the narrative in that region. The goal is strict damage containment. This is a compartmentalized operation, not an open network. Understood? Just to clarify for the record, you are acting as the sole point of contact, engaging assets individually to orchestrate the entire grid. My total focus is locked on ensuring that the Beijing initiative can proceed in 2026 without diplomatic friction. That is an accurate assessment of the current strategic landscape. Affirmative. However, I need absolute clarity on my specific parameters within this operation. Do you copy? Let's talk about the primary target at the top. What exactly is the directive regarding the leadership element stationed there? We are authorized for a decapitation strike. The priority is neutralizing the leadership. You take out the top brass first. Roger that. Neutralize the leadership. You are assigning a priority level 3 to that specific objective. Correction mark it as code 23. Copy that. Proceeding with the protocol. We have a hard rendezvous set for tomorrow at the designated coordinates exactly at the operational hour we discussed. That is when we initiate the launch sequence for this high-stakes strategic maneuver we have been meticulously orchestrating. Target time is 11 p.m. The window opens tomorrow, but the objective must be secured before the fiscal year wraps up in 2026. He is in position now to execute the order at precisely 11 p.m. verified. No logistical issues on this end. Let me phrase this carefully. Given my permanent deployment here at the airbase, we need to evaluate the viability of maintaining my cover. We will assess the logistics for tomorrow's op, transmit any classified directives immediately if the situation on the ground changes. Regarding specific mandates, negative. We are not running the full operational sequence just yet. Your mandate is singular and absolute. Completely sever the command structure. Decapitate the leadership. Understood. I am factoring that into the assessment. You mentioned a variable yesterday that needs to be part of the calculus. Acknowledged. Considering my status at this strategic airbase, we must address the presence of the legacy assets, the original old guards stationed in that sector. If the situation escalates into a conflict in that theater, who is authorized to provide tactical support? I repeat, who is on the hook for backup and emergency extraction? Exactly. In a worst-case scenario where the operation goes south, which unit is designated for the rescue response? Strategically speaking, it is not just about boots on the ground. It is about the capability and tier of the assets deployed. In physical terms, this necessitates immediate direct action and an on-site inspection of the facility. You briefed me earlier on a streamlined protocol, a comprehensive framework that simplifies the command chain and is much easier to navigate. Copy that. We do not anticipate any friction given that we have specialized Air Force operatives explicitly tasked to that region. These units are now fully integrated into the GR network, which is a critical factor in this equation. My assessment is that I still maintain significant leverage and solid diplomatic contacts within that sector. I am confident the situation remains well within our control parameters. I expect a follow-up briefing on the secure line. Can you confirm that? Before we disconnect, are there any other critical agenda items we need to address? Negative, those are the primary objectives. So to recap, you possess the clearance for the internal protocols. You determine operational assignments, and you activate assets in isolation so the internal cells remain unaware of one another. If my read on the situation is accurate, then yes, that is the approximate operational structure. Moving out. Let us address the situation with the coordinated strikes on the secondary assets. We need to implement the exact same engagement protocols we discussed for the primary targets. You understand the gravity of maintaining that operational symmetry, don't you? Loud and clear. I am tracking with you now. Consider that variable locked in. We are officially on the same page regarding the mission parameters. However, here is the critical factor. Absolute temporal synchronization is non-negotiable. We need simultaneous execution across the board. The primary objective is to deliver a shock to the system that effectively paralyzes their immediate response capabilities. We want them completely neutralized, deaf-blind, and dumb. We are talking about total paralysis of their defensive grid, ensuring they are utterly unable to launch any form of counteroffensive whatsoever. I need to ensure there is zero ambiguity in my instructions. There can be no rogue movements on the flanks. Everything holds until the green light. Am I getting through to you? We cannot afford any loose cannons. Clear good. Understood. But there are active units in the field that need to be stood down. You are the point man coordinating with the local assets on the ground. Correct. That falls under your jurisdiction. And do you have a direct line to these operatives, or are we expected to establish secure communications with them ourselves? I need to know who holds the leash on these people. Negative. There is no direct contact link. We are operating with a firewall between us and them to maintain plausible deniability. It is a cell structure. Every handler manages their own team independently. Our role is strictly operational execution on the ground. It is not just about the maneuver, it is about fulfilling the directive from high command. And for the record, the Shurex sector is under my direct supervision. I have that territory locked down. Understood. Copy that. We have successfully sanitized the entire extraction route. The corridor is wide open for all our assets to maneuver into position without resistance. It is a clean sweep. Copy understood. Roger that. However, prior to the mobilization of those high-value entities and the commencement of the main event, we are going to execute a decapitation strike. The leadership structure needs to be completely severed from the body. Total isolation. Understood, loud and clear. I grasp the full scope of the strategy and the implications of the timeline. So that is the specific operational box you are putting me in. I have personnel on standby reliable assets who can get the job done. No negative, I am fully confident in their capabilities. Hold on, I am in a secure location. I am emphasizing this because our previous communications have been plagued by a lack of clarity and operational security. You have been transmitting on an open frequency, speaking too freely. Me, I cannot afford that kind of exposure given my position. Negative. We are experiencing a disconnect. Your lack of clarity was a liability. I had no idea what the parameters were. But tonight, the signal is finally clean. Fair enough. So, let's confirm the timeline. You are officially briefing me that the operation is scheduled to kick off tomorrow. I need a full briefing package immediately. I want the mission specs, the objectives, the rules of engagement, everything. Lay it all out. I cannot operate in the dark on this one. Precisely. Full situational awareness is mandatory. That is the bottom line. It aligns perfectly with standard operating procedure. Let's look at the history here. From an intelligence perspective, you were the original conduit, the primary trafficker in the early days of the network. And now you are transferring control of the entire operation to the opposing faction. That is a significant shift in allegiance. Copy. Now let's talk air support. In the event we see Super Tucano light attack aircraft and the accompanying support choppers lifting off from the airbase, I need to ascertain their engagement status. Are they going active or staying on the tarmac? It is strictly for situational awareness. Current intelligence suggests a negative on-air support. Stand down on that concern for the moment. At this specific juncture, no. My assessment is that we are focusing our resources on acquiring a single high-value asset rather than a broad assault. That is a major tactical shift. Roger that. The operational picture is much sharper now. I have a handle on both the broad strokes and the fine print of the mission. So every single component in this apparatus, every moving part regarding those elements, operates with its own vector and pursues its own strategic interest within the larger game. To advance the agenda. Outstanding. That fits the profile perfectly. Okay, we are aligned. Are you fully tracking this directive? Do you read me? Affirmative, I am reading you 5 by 5. That is the plan. The critical order now is immediate action, no more holding patterns. Priority 1 is execution. You need to be mobile as of yesterday, even if we are only talking about a preliminary phase of the larger operation. Movement is essential. Your briefing was crystal clear. We are green to go. All systems nominal, no concerns on this end regarding the procedure. Shall I activate my night shift crew for the assignment? I will initiate contact with the team tonight to get the ball rolling. Negative, I stated that I am going to compartmentalize. We have been grinding on this locally for too long to risk exposure now. That is acceptable. Rendezvous with me at 0158 and I will handle the separation protocols. With you personally. Roger that. No issues, we are solid. Just verify the chain of command. Am I the one who authorized your assistance for tomorrow's op? That is the confirmation I need. Okay. Copy that is viable. The rest of the squad is fully prepped and staged for the operation tomorrow. Hold fast a second. You were actually the initial point of contact briefed on the update. My previous comms were insufficient, I admit that. Good lord. But for the rest of them, the situation is a complete mess, pal. That window of opportunity closed yesterday. We have reached the critical moment. Tonight is the night. We are in agreement that the timeline is set in stone and you were explicitly clear about the operational specifics. Affirmative. Even with that minor logistical snag we encountered earlier. And let me stop you right there, we are absolutely not discussing this over an open line. We are facing some turbulence, but let me be crystal clear right now. The directive was issued with absolute transparency. There is zero margin for error here, and the instructions provided leave absolutely no space for second guessing or misinterpretation. Understood. The big question remains, will the general public mobilize? We know the power lies with the people, but are they actually going to hit the streets? Negative. That is a hard no. Not for this specific agenda. I genuinely had no intelligence suggesting a mass exodus, effectively turning this entire region into a ghost town as civilians flee the unrest. Is that confirmed? Seriously, all right. If that is the situation on the ground, then we proceed as planned. We have no choice but to react immediately to these mounting external pressures and geopolitical forces. Here is the situation, his inner circle, the people standing right beside him. They have a window of opportunity to initiate a major disruption in the chain of command. Roger that, I am tracking with you. Precisely. The focus is on those immediate aides flanking him at this very second. That is our entry point. Frankly, his subordinates lack the necessary intelligence. They are expendable and can be removed from the equation entirely. Affirmative. I cannot overstate how critical your presence is to this operation. We are aligned. Let's move forward. Understood. No issues on my end. Seriously, I appreciate the intel. We will concede that specific tactical point for now. Walk me through the breach protocol. Is the primary insertion point through the main entrance or directly via the leadership compound? That location remains our critical objective. Our assessment indicates that the civilian population will remain on the sidelines and will not intervene. Consequently, we do not anticipate any volunteer recruitment or mass mobilization for an armed conflict. So according to your analysis, this isn't a long-term occupation strategy. It is a precision strike, get in, execute the mission, and get out. I read you loud and clear. That makes sense. We are talking about the calibration of those high-precision targeting systems. However, we have identified a systemic failure in that sector that is deeply concerning and needs immediate rectification. Agreed. You have briefed us comprehensively on that vulnerability, breaking down every potential implication. You even referenced the influence of the local clergy and the ripple effects on the community, which really underscores the complexity of this crisis. But I have to admit, the core motivation behind that specific maneuver remained somewhat elusive to me. Exactly. Now we are getting to the heart of the matter. Intelligence suggests you had already aligned yourself with a different faction. You have clarified your position once more. What I fail to grasp is why there seems to be such a profound lack of situational awareness on your part regarding this threat. It is essentially a code name for the movement. Oh, I see. Actually, I was managing finances for religious leaders, including a senior pastor who recently passed away. My assumption was that this operation was directly tied to those financial records. That is a highly probable scenario. Absolutely. Look, I need to splash some water on my face and wake up. Oh, is that right? Stand by, because I have just received some developing information. This is significant, some truly positive news. Regardless, morale is high. Things are finally breaking in our favor. Don't mention it. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for the update. I genuinely believe we are dealing with several distinct categories of operatives here. There are numerous individuals in that region who engage in very specific patterns of movement and travel itineraries. Precisely. That means you need to gather intel on every variable and maintain absolute laser focus. Understood. Consider it handled. I appreciate your guidance on this critical matter. As we unpack this breaking report tonight, we urge you to take a hard look at the evidence laid out before you. Before we sign off, remember that in this era of geopolitical chess, your awareness is your greatest weapon in shaping the future of the African continent. Question number 1. What does this leaked audio tell us about the clandestine tactics being deployed to orchestrate political chaos across African nations in 2026? And secondly, how can sovereign nations and their citizens stand firm against these external threats while maintaining national unity and peace? We want to hear from you. Drop your analysis in the comments section below. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and make sure your voice is part of the conversation.